Hi there! If you just watched my arranged live looping video Walls Behind Walls and are now interested in how I did make that thing, you've come to the right place. If you didn't watch it, go ahead and do that first. In any case, if you like the video, like and subscribe. So this is Unset and you are welcome. I am a huge fan of live music, but I never considered playing live myself. I produce music in the studio whenever I can gather enough energy to do so. So how did that come about? Well, that's kinda a long story, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit of that. Browsing through YouTube, I found one of Bink Beat's videos, and I was hooked from the very beginning. He created the sound of almost a whole orchestra all by himself. And that got me thinking, if he can do it, I can do it. So I got on a journey, and it was a long journey. Starting out trying to use the same tools that he uses didn't work for me, so I was kinda desperate. I then tried Zen Audio's ALK2, but after a while the software didn't work anymore and the company kinda dissolved. That was that again. So time passed. Until I found out about Nabla Looper that runs within Reaper. And Reaper kind of opened a whole new universe for me. Lots of things that I couldn't do before just worked, and there were solutions. And if there are no solutions, there probably was somebody already that had the same problem and solved it and wrote kind of a script around that, and now they work. So I wanted to try that myself. And what I did was I took one of the songs of my first album, Become Real, this one, and started arranging it with Nabla Looper within Reaper. The QFO kicks off the song with a needle drop, and I then go onto the Assembles MPA 019 for a huge glissando. Back to the QFO for the snare, and then onto the main guitar riff. Of course recorded with my trusty Telecaster. Then I start singing. A white line. Separates wrong from right. Rainbow. In parallel, I record the Assembles MPA 019 again for a little ghostly ambiance. And in the second part of the first verse, the bass line from the MS-20. That actually was the most tricky part of the song, as I cannot strum the guitar and press the keys on a MS-20 in parallel. I was kinda lost, and there still is some lag, but what can I do? It's the way it is. Now into the first chorus. There's a huge strum of the guitar to emphasize the chorus and of course the walls behind walls. And after the first chorus there will be the guitar solo, which I record again of course on the Telecaster The guitar solo comprises of a whole verse and a whole chorus. Back into a verse. Silence is golden.
Screaming from terror inside.
And during that period, I have to access my third dot on the vinyl platter.
'Cause there's no place left to hide.
And another chorus.
Behind walls, walls, behind walls.
And this time there is no safe place, and after that we go into the ensembles again, and then the final highlight of the song, the turntable solo. A little bit of scratching. That's it. After exercising the hell out of that sucker, I took a chance on it. I did 2 sessions with 3 takes each, and then decided on the last attempt to proceed with. I first exported all the tracks and then created a new project to start mixing with. The needle drop obviously is kind of random, as each drop is a surprise. Alone, a needle drop obviously is not that impressive, so I did a lot of processing there. First we carve out the first part of the sound with the melder MXXX. That sounds kind of like that. And then add the BX subsynth to give it more punch, and then a little distortion. But that's not all. That's only the first track here. So let's solo the second track, and that obviously creates the huge reverb from that to create kind of a burial atmosphere, and the 2 together sounds like this. So we go on to the third track, and there's that's basically the original without any processing here. The third track is processed with an external unit. I use the Roland SRV 3030 for that, and after that a little bit of spatialization by the Fiedler audio stage. And then the last one here, processed by my very trusty Dynacord SRV 23. So all the channels together sound like this. Beautiful. On to the instruments. We have the turntable solo. That's, where is that? That's here. Obviously also a lot of processing here. Let's turn everything off. Carve out the bass frequency and emphasize the scratching frequencies here. Then I added a little bit of relayer. Relayer is the UVI delay. Compressed that a little bit. Compressed it again with the Sonaxis compressor, and in the end added the kilohertz limiter. That's that. That's from the very end, but we have the snare before that. Of course, a huge snare sound created by the descendant of the famous Roland 201, the Roland 501. And that's this sound here. But that's not enough. We also have the original here. And on both there's a little bit of reverb from the RC48 by Native Instruments. So let's go on. We have the Assam Glide here, also processed millions of times. Let's solo that. Okay, there's 3 tracks from that. Let's check out the first one. We have Relayer again, the reverb, the native Reaper convolution reverb, and there I used a space tempo impulse response that I created myself from a Native Instruments reactor ensemble. And for a little bit of psychic modulation, here I used the Echo Melt, a beautiful plugin. And then there's another one here, that's this one. I recorded the Echo Pro from line 6. So that's that one. And then another take on that here. That went through a MAM spring reverb unit, also an external one from my 19-inch rack. Next we have the SM Solo recorded in the very beginning here. I also did 2 duplicate tracks here. Relayer again. And also relayer again. There's thousands of relayers. And relayer again. There also is the Assam outro, which sounds like this. And if we solo that part, that again is the manually modulated RE501. And I really liked this part here at the end. Okay, that's the SM outro. What else do we have? Of course, the guitar riff. We have this part here. I use the guitar rig for that, AC30 and some processing. The old sampler emulation, the DAW cassette, and again the echo melt. That sounds like this. That's basically the same part copied onto 3 different tracks and processed differently. In the chorus, there's a different guitar processing here, which sounds like this. And I have various different processing on that. Again, native instruments with an electric lady flanger, and again through the AC30 simulation. No processing here on this track. That's again processed with the DP4, and here we have processing through the new Wires plugin and a little bit EQ to cut out the bottom end. And all together it sounds like this. Ooh, huge wash of chorus guitar. The bass line, I don't think it did that much to it. Just a bit of EQ here, and there is a little bit of reverb. Let's listen to the reverb. Just to make it a bit bigger in the background. For the solo part, there's also various processing, but everything here is done in the DP4 with just some nice presets that I used here. Let's listen through them. And that results in that huge, woolly, fuzzy tone. And then, of course, the vocals.
Separates wrong from right.
And I did a manual automation here to have a little gain riding on my vocals. And let's check out if there's any compressor. Yes, VC76 emulation of the famous 1176, which I happen not to own, but of course the emulation. And on the second copy of the vocals, here's the Make Huge Stuff. Again, the VC76 copied, I guess, from the previous track. Relayer again, chorus, that's a chorus. Also from UVI, it's absolutely lovely. The 2 plugins, Relayer and Chorus, are taken from the Falcon plugin, which I use a lot of for sound design, so I can use them out of Falcon also. Again, a delay and Of course, some nice reverb, and in the very end, it sounds like this.
Separates wrong from right. A rainbow rising.
Rainbow rising. And that's that. In the master track, there is MXXX again, which carves out the low frequencies. Again, there's 120 dB, unbelievable. 120 dB high pass to get rid of all the noise rumble in the low frequencies. And then I mastered the track using the AI features of Izotope Ozone, as I didn't use that before, and I didn't have time to get much deeper into that. I ran the AI process and just adapted a little thing here and there in the end. And to check the loudness, I have the Ulean loudness meter in the very end, which outputs the LUFS finally here. As YouTube requires a -14 LUFS integrated for the whole track, just to make sure that this is the case. And that's basically it. But for a live looping video, I also needed a video, right? So I recorded the presentation with 3 cameras. A Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K with the classic Helios 44, my S1H with a Lomogon 32mm f.2.5, and with my GH5 with a very vintage Isco Göttingen 35mm f3.5. Everything synced up with an ambient nano kit on each camera. So let's hop into Davinci Resolve and see the results. So what we have here is the results from the Reaper project, Walls Behind Walls, and the clips from each camera. First, I created a multicam timeline, and with a timecode from the nano kits, that was really easy. If we take a look at that, open in timeline, that's the timeline here, and we have the 3 cameras, and we also have the camera audio that's not really used here. And then we have the real timeline, Walls Behind Walls. And that's this one here. If we open that, we start out with a text overlay here. Unset Sofa Sessions, Walls Behind Walls. That's displayed for a short time, and then we go into the clip of the first camera. So I select the angle that's best for the project here, like this one here. For the snare, and this goes on and on and on. And the audio from the WAV file is basically manually synced up afterwards. In the very end, we have the end titles, and that's basically it. So that was my making of Walls Behind Walls. Hoped you like it, and if you did, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing. Bye!